Hey guys, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Christy Lemire. Our friend Scott Mans from Access Hollywood is here for the first time. Hooray.
Hooray.
Our friend Tim Grierson is back. Hooray. From many different places. What's your other outlet you want to describe?
Well, I'm one half of Grierson and Leach over at Deadspin.
They are great. Go read them. Okay, so there's another Rocky movie. Are you aware they keep making Rocky movies? Sylvester Stallone is still Rocky, and so there's now a 7th one called Creed. Scott is going to describe it to you, because he's the Philadelphia native here on the panel.
There is nothing like a good movie about Philadelphia that takes place in Philadelphia. Yes, Creed is the 7th Rocky movie, even though it's not called Rocky. It is a Rocky movie, and I'm going to say now it is the best Rocky since Rocky, which came out in 1976, won the Oscar for Best Picture. This movie is about Apollo Creed's son, Adonis. He is played by Michael B. Jordan. The movie is directed by Ryan Coogler. The two of them work together on Fruitvale Station, breakthrough movie for both director and actor. This movie follows the journey as Adonis becomes a contender, as they say, and it is a fantastic performance, fantastic movie. I think this film, it is gritty, it is powerful, and I think it is actually one of the best movies of 2015.
Wow. Let's take a look at the clip.
I've been fighting my whole life. It's not a choice for me. Every punch I ever thrown's been on my own. Nobody showed me how to do this. I'm ready.
Sick eyes from the nose pressure. Release slip zip ties on the protesters. The 6 wives in the fry of a mold weather. Medic caviar bar out in Odessa. Dirty needles breaking all the old records. 100 hoes, 1 shovel and some old treasure. Old Zeke used teeth as a gold tester. Figaro's finger waves closet from the old lovers.
This picture's from the 10th round of the first fight, right? I heard about a 3rd fight between you and Apollo. Behind closed doors. That true?
How do you know all this?
I'm his son.
So I'm going to compare Creed to a movie that may not seem like a similar movie at all, but it reminded me of the Peanuts movie as I was watching it.
What?
And here is why. I got a lot of shit on this show and from people like you, Scott Mans.
I love
for
Peanuts.
not loving Peanuts. But here's what Peanuts did. Peanuts took characters and a setting and a genre and regurgitated and repackaged stuff you'd seen a million times before with like zero innovation without breathing a single bit of new life into it. Creed does that. Creed goes back to the exact characters, the exact place, the exact specific kind of boxing movie, because Rocky movies are a totally specific genre unto themselves, but finds a totally new avenue into it and makes it feel completely fresh and new. I don't know how that's possible. The script is excellent.
Yep.
Performances are excellent. I've only been to Philly once, but the sense of place felt very real to me. It felt very gritty and very on the street, very lived in. But there's also incredibly elegant camera work here. It's a beautifully shot movie.
I completely agree. This is Ryan Coogler. I mean, he just took, like you said, he took a very tired formula and he reinvigorated it. He brought it back to basics because he made it vital. He made it gritty. He kept it real. And that's why this really is a throwback to the very first Rocky film. And let's just say, Sylvester Stallone.
He can act. Who knew?
Wait a
Sylvester
minute.
Stallone could
Christy,
act.
Guys, not only can Sylvester Stallone act, but he gives the performance of his career in this film.
Yeah, I mean, even compared to like the early Rockies, the first Rocky, there is definitely more of an arc to him here. What did you think?
Well, you know, I think on Rotten Tomatoes it's about 97% fresh right now.
95, yeah.
I like
Pretty damn good.
I'd like to introduce you to one of the 5%. It's funny that you mentioned. It's funny that you mentioned Peanuts movie, Christy, because you and I agreed about Peanuts movie.
We did.
I felt exactly the same way that you did, and I have to say, I actually kind of feel that way about Creed.
Do you?
Here's my.
Man's gonna bust a gut.
You want to like the Peanuts movie here? Come on.
Well, we have hearts of stone, and clearly they also didn't like Creed. What's interesting for me about Creed, and I will sort of own up to something about the Rocky movies, they don't mean a lot to me.
Okay.
It's funny, and I was while watching Creed, and especially because I had seen it very early and written my review very early, and then seen like the flow of praise for it since then. I think what's interesting to me, kind of in retrospect, is that I think that the first Rocky movie I think is really, really well done, and the ones sort of after that were kind of just variations on the same kind of formula with like different degrees of success of it. And to me, I think what is the strongest about Creed is the idea of what Ryan Coogler does, which is sort of personalize it in terms of Adonis's journey. I agree that I think Michael B. Jordan is really good in this movie.
Star on the rise.
Like Star on the Rise, and even like Fantastic Four, kind of blunting, I think, sort of his upward trajectory in terms of stardom.
That's
Forget about that.
But this proves, I think, that with the right material, I mean, frankly, even in Fantastic Four, I think he's actually pretty charismatic. That movie was just not good.
Yeah.
He's really good in this. I think my overall issue with Creed is kind of like going back to the Peanuts movie thing, actually. To me, it does feel like a very well done variation on a movie, like a Rocky movie that I've seen before. And it's a better version of it. But it's, for me, what is funny is while I was watching it, I cared less and less about the actual bout and the actual training and all of that. And was much more interested in Michael B. Jordan's character and the sort of like the love interest played by Tessa Thompson.
Who is great.
Who is great.
Yeah, she was lovely.
But I would say that it's also part of my kind of complaint about the movies. I feel like she isn't given enough to do in that movie. I feel like Tessa Thompson's only kind of in the movie and not nearly as much as I wanted. To me, the movie does feel like almost like a reboot of the franchise.
It is.
I was actually telling people.
It absolutely is.
But I was
That's
telling
a
people,
good thing.
but I would actually say that to me, it's almost like the Star Trek generations of this franchise, where it is very much about, okay, we're moving this element, the Sylvester Stallone element, more to the sideline, and we're going to bring in the Adonis character and have him be sort of this kind of the focal point. And to me, I couldn't stop watching the gears of that being done. Okay. To me, the idea that it's more about, and I'll let you say your piece, but to me, because I feel
He's
like
chomping at the bit here. You can't see him off camera. He's freaking
because
out.
I'm the only person in America who doesn't like this movie. I feel like I should speak my piece. But I feel like that is as distinctive as it is in certain ways. The first fight scene that Coogler does, where it's all a single
one take,
is
breathtaking.
it's really well done.
Yes.
But in the end, this is still to me a Rocky movie about going and doing the big bout. The idea being that the opponent is the one in the mirror, and that boxing being sort of this metaphor for life. To me, there wasn't enough freshness in that.
I completely disagree with you. I'm like, floored by your take on it, because for a lot of your argument, you're really supporting what I liked about it. And then you go in for the kill, you go in for the knockout, the uppercut, and boom. But you see, you compare this to like the generations of Star Trek. I feel like this is the Star Trek 2009.
The J.J. Abrams Star Trek?
The J.J. Abrams.
Right. It reinvigorates it.
It reinvigorates it. Thank you. Reinvigorates it is the perfect word. And also, on that note, Christy, you can feel the baton being passed to a whole new generation of fans, especially when the movie progresses and some more plot points are developed. I'm not going to say what they are, but yeah, it's formulaic. Of course it's formulaic. It's a boxing movie. There's only so much you could do with that unless you're going to go with something like Raging Bull, which is not formulaic. But I thought that Ryan Coogler did a great job of making something gritty, bringing it back down to earth, because as the other Rocky movies go, Rocky 3 was fun, but over the top. Rocky 4 was total cheeseball. Rocky 5, forget about it.
Rocky 4 is our youth, though. Rocky
I know
4
it
was
is.
the height
Oh,
of
come
Cold War
on.
tensions.
But Rocky Balboa, which came out in 2006,
Yeah.
was better than it deserved to be.
That was okay.
It was fine. It was a fine movie. They could have ended it there, but they didn't. 9 years later, they picked it up, going in a different direction with Creed. And if it keeps going, they can do that, because it is like a kickstart. It's a reboot in some ways, even though you have a very, very familiar character in Sylvester Stallone's Rocky. I thought he gave a great performance. It was a heartbreaking performance. And there's a couple for your consideration moments in there for Stallone. I haven't seen him act like that in a long, long time.
Maybe since the first Rocky?
Since Copland, maybe?
I don't know. But you forget, because he seemed like such a caricature of himself. And in the first moment you see him, he goes, "How you doing?"
Yeah, totally.
The
He's
whole
wearing the
place
hat.
laughs, He's at the restaurant and all that. So yeah, it definitely it is steeped in all of that lore. But it does feel like it's its own new thing. I want to talk really fast about the thing you mentioned with the one take with the first fight. Because it's so hard to do what he did. And I'm always blown away by single take stuff. I love Birdman, as you guys know. But having to come in and go around them and make it all about their faces and come into the body and come back out again and go over to Rocky on the side and come back in again, like how meticulously that was choreographed, every single second of that. And to have that in him in only, his second film, there's a lot of really incredibly ambitious stuff here from an artistic perspective. Because it could just be a simple story. It could be told in a very simple way, but he chose to give it just shadings and layers through all of his camera choices. Go ahead.
You know, not to go too off track with that, but you're talking about a director who made a mark with an independent film, a Sundance movie, and then he's given the reins of a studio film. Sometimes it works, in the case of Jurassic World, with the director of Safety Not Guaranteed.
Right, which nobody saw, which we saw, but nobody saw.
Right, we saw it. That was a good movie.
It is
of
very
course,
good.
everybody saw Jurassic World.
It's a good time travel movie.
But then you look at a film like Fantastic Four, Josh Trank, after he did Chronicle, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see what happens with the new Spider-Man movie, directed by the guy who did, Cop Car. So, but in this case, I thought Coogler did a great job in keeping sort of his indie feel, the grittiness of it, while making a very accessible commercial studio film.
Yeah, it's very intimate, and I would say the thing that this has in common with Fruitvale Station is a sense of suspense, even though you know where it's going.
Thank you.
Right? Like, you know where this movie is going, you know what happens in Fruitvale Station because it was real, and it begins at the end and circles back. But to make each moment feel new and make you emotionally invested to the extent that you don't remember that you know where it's going or you don't care, because you're just so swept away, is really a testament to the storytelling and just the pacing and the way it's shot and the way it's cut. Yeah, this movie is really surprisingly good. It's crowd pleasing, but it's got some indie stuff to it, and they play the song, and the whole place cheered, and you can cheer too. There's no shame in this. And there are multiple montages, because as the song goes, even Rocky had a montage. There are multiple montages.
Did you get the chills? Did you not get the chills when they showed some of the clips of Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed?
That was neat. But it also, if we can go back to Peanuts movie for a second, it does a thing we know very well from the first Rocky. There is a moment in the training montage where there's jogging and people following behind him, but they find a new spin on that. There's like a poetry to all those images together. It's really neat.
I will say this. I of course acknowledge I'm very much the minority, but I will say that I think that what is clear is I think if you have a great fondness for this franchise, I think Creed speaks to you. I think for me what's so interesting is that because the Rocky movies don't kind of stir that up for me, it is interesting to kind of, when I was watching it, like the moments you're describing, thinking, oh, right, that's from a Rocky movie.
This should matter to me.
And again, and that's not to negate either of your points, because obviously you feel the way you do, but for me I think it was so interesting to watch it and go, yeah, these movies don't actually, I like them, but to me, I think as we get closer and closer to Star Wars, that will be an interesting thing. Because I think that will be the same kind of discussion where it's like, for certain people, Star Wars is like the Bible.
Right.
In terms of how incredibly resonant it is. And so for me, it's very interesting. I've never been opposed to the Rocky movies, but it's interesting while watching Creed, I just thought, oh, right, I know this, the steps, the montages, training sequences, the music. It doesn't sort of stir up the things where I think clearly it does for a lot of people. And I think for a lot of people, because there hasn't been a really great Rocky movie in quite some time, people who have been sort of waiting and craving it, the fact that this one has sort of been advertised as, this is the good one, you're going to enjoy this
But I'm
one.
going to say, I don't know if I was waiting for it or craving it at all. And when I heard that they were doing this, my initial reaction was, oh, they're going to do the origin of Apollo Creed. And then I realized, oh, no, they're doing it son. They're actually continuing the story. So then it became intriguing to me, and I thought the movie delivered big time. And you're both wrong about the Peanuts movie. I love the Peanuts movie. It's so cute and adorable.
It's made a lot of money. It's very crowd pleasing. So Tessa Thompson, you mentioned really fast. She was really, really great in Dear White People. Felicia Rashad is also very good in this.
She is.
Well, I'm not giving a say who she is. Okay, so let's do numbers, please, if we can. What is your number?
I give it a 5.
Wow.
I give it an 8.5.
I am really high today on everything. I'm giving it an 8.9. It's just massively crowd pleasing, and I think expectations, right, have a lot to do with this. I had none for this, and I was shocked at how good it was. So our average is a 7.5. It is at 95% on the tomato meter. So this is an interesting week with the holidays between Good Dinosaur, Creed, and The Danish Girl, which we're also going to talk about. They're all incredibly different for incredibly different audiences, but all will be crowd pleasing to them all. So go to the movies after you've done with your turkey. Bye.